Hello there guys, Nintendo Fanatic here, and in this video will be a short mini-series looking at previous World Championship decks. These are either Pokemon decks that have made it either to the finals, that's what they are, either the winner, second, third or fourth I believe, or those that competed retrospectively. In this video I'll be looking at Zachary Bokhari. I believe he finished in 4th place of the 2012 World Championships, I could be wrong. This was the deck that he used. Alright guys, so I'll get into it. We'll start with the Pokemon that he used, which were classed as the monsters. I'm going to do this in clusters to save time. So he used 12 Pokemon. He used the Tornadus EX, 3 copies of Mewtwo EX, 2 copies of Terrakion, 3 copies of Celebi Prime, 1 Shaman, I think it's the Skyform Shaman, and 2 copies of Smeargle. He used Tornadus EX for its Blow Through and Power Blast as mainly an aggressive format in combination with Sky Arrow Bridge, the Stadium card, Mewtwo for moving energy around to attack, Terrakion as an aggressive format, Celebi for energy transfer, Shaman to move grass energy around, and Smeargle to kind of use his opponent's supporter cards against them. A pretty decent lineup nonetheless. 4 EXs were the standard at the time, that most decks now have more EXs, or they're pretty much completely or predominantly EX based. This was when the EX format was taking hold within the around the 2012 era. So we're about 3 years into this World Championship structure. The way the rotation works, I think Mewtwo's still used, but I'm not sure if any of the other cards are. Terrakion might be still used, I think, in aggressive formats in fighting decks. So yeah, 170 base hit points for the Tornadus EX and the 3 copies of Mewtwo. Because he got a diverse range. He was running normal, grass, fighting, psychic. That was just pretty much a lineup. Back then the synergy was only 4 types of Pokemon. Nowadays it's 1 or 2. And that was the Pokemon that he used. As previously mentioned, his 2 copies of the Stadium card were Sky Arrow Bridge. The retreat cost of each basic Pokemon in play was 1 energy less, which meant retreating Terrakion, Mewtwo, and Tornadus only took an energy, I think, or with, especially with Smeargle or Shaman, I think they were only 1 energy, or I think Shaman was 2. But it reduced the retreat cost because heavy retreaters means that switching in and out is tricky, so he chose to run 2 copies of Sky Arrow Bridge. His supporter lineup, which was next up, he ran 4 copies of Professor Oak's New Theory, 3 copies of Professor Juniper, and 1 copy of N. N was more for early game because obviously if you're stacking up EXs, you get to recycle your hand and draw equivalent to the number of EXs you have. Perfect for an early game card if you have like all 6 prize Pokemon in play still, like benched. Juniper was good for recycling, as was Professor Oak's New Theory. I believe the rotation is now Sycamore has replaced New Theory, but back then New Theory was one of the best draw powers, based off the original Professor Oak card. That was a classic in the original Pokemon decks. These were the trainer cards. Obviously these have kind of been in rotation now because you don't really see these type of cards much. 4 copies of Dual Ball and 4 copies of Junk Arm. This was mainly for getting Pokemon out before you had Ultra Ball, Great Ball, Dive Ball, stuff like that. Dual Ball was your main go-to. Junk Arm let you recycle certain cards. It was just a basic lineup of 8 cards, 4 copies of each. Back then you would play the trainer cards as and when you saw fit. Unlike supporters, they don't take as many turns. You can only play 1 per turn. With trainers you can play as many as you like. This one was quite clustered. He ran, for the item cards, he ran 3 copies of Switch and Energy Retrieval. Revive, a Energy Switch, 3 copies of Random Receiver, 2 copies of Plus Power, 3 Pokemon Catcher, and 2 Evo Lights. Pretty much a standard item lineup at the time. This would mainly be used for, similar to the trainer cards, you would use them for switching Pokemon out, for getting back energies, for gaining power, for free retreating, switching your opponent's Pokemon, making sure you don't take as much damage each turn, suppressing damage. Which would happen a lot because, again, running only 12 Pokemon like most meta decks now, you're pretty much relying on cutting down damage so that you can survive to fight another turn. And last but certainly not least, one of the main reasons you have the deck and the ability to attack with are the energy cards. Without them you can't really do anything. You can't attack, you can't retreat, unless you have Switch. You have a card that lets you switch in and out, or you get them back. But in order to attack, you need energies. So he ran 4 copies of Double Colorless Energy, which provided 2 regular energy, 6 copies of Leaf Energy, or Grass Energy I should say, which are mainly used in conjunction with Celebi, possibly Mewtwo's X-Ball for its main attack, and 3 copies of Fighting Energy for Terrakion. And that rounded up his energy cards, because that's what he used. Alright guys, that was Zachary Bokhari's 2012 World Championships deck. I believe he came 4th place. I may double check if I'm wrong. I will put in the description what place he came. It was held in Hawaii. As you can see, that is the box art. Each year it was held in a different place. I think 2013 was held in Vancouver and 2014 was held in Washington DC. So every year it kind of changed. So when you buy the deck, you get like a custom box art, which I believe you could buy at the tournaments themselves. I got this deck online. It's a replica deck. Obviously, because of the backing, you can't use them in official tournaments, as far as I know, because the backing is classed as illegal or something, or it's not. It's because it doesn't look like this, which is a standard Pokemon TCG backing. This is a double color synergy of the meta now. As you can see, they look completely different, so you can't use them for some reason. Which I guess makes sense, especially because a lot of cards are out of rotation now and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, that was the Zachary Bokhari deck. In the next deck review I do, whenever that will be, I'll be looking at some decks from 2013 and possibly some from 2014. Until then, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.